Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gills, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning. It is so good to see everyone. Great to have you here. Welcome to my home. Welcome to the office. Welcome to the morning grind. We're going to be taking a look, or continuing our look today, with about Star Wars, the original. I think this is the original, right? The West End Star Wars role-playing game. We started taking a look at this yesterday, and it was so refreshing to be checking this out and for it to be something that's completely different from Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. You know, we've looked at a lot of different games on this channel, and a lot of them are, of course, variants of 5th edition for a lot of reasons, a lot of good reasons as well, but a lot of them are variants of that. You know, you look at it, you've got the strength, dexterity, constitution, and so forth, and you're going to be rolling a d20 die, and you're going to be adding a modifier. This was very different. So going back to 1987 and kind of looking at a different kind of structure of what a role-playing game is. So we're going to be taking a look at this one this morning, and I noticed Tomocrat in the Discord server, the link to the Discord server is down below, we pulled out on a Hero Quest board, no less, the second edition of the Star Wars RPG, and that is a lot of fun. So that one, the second edition, has the Millennium Falcon on it. So that's pretty cool. So yes, so there's a lot of love, it seemed like, for this game the other day. So we're going to be continuing to look at that. I'm also going to show you a little bit about the coffee shop here, because we've got our test. If you want to play games tonight, we're going to be playing games tonight for the in the coffee shop, in the online gaming coffee shop. A lot of people have already signed up right now. Of course, this is a very limited test. This is a very limited test. We do have some slots still available, but we're doing a limited test because we're going through the entire system tonight. We're going to be playing Hero Quest, Wizard's Quest. We can play Secret Hitler if we got more people. We can have up to 10 people playing Secret Hitler at a time. 10 people also playing One Night Werewolf at a time. And so we can get those set up. We can play. If you have not played Secret Hitler, it's fantastic. Let's see what we got here. Good morning, Lynn. Good morning. Good to see you. Good morning, BGD. Peppa Silva, it's been a while since I've seen you. Good to see you here. Very glad to have you. Got Cultist Coffee. Actually, that's what I've got this morning. Cultist Coffee right here. Cultist Coffee this morning. Let's see. Tomocrat. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Philip. Hey, good to see you. Philip's here. Just wanted to say you should do Star Wars D6 Re-Up Edition 2. Wait, what is the Re-Up Edition? Star Wars D6 Re-Up Edition? Let me look that up. Star Wars D6 Re-Up. Oh, this is like revised and expanded. Star Wars Re-Up arrived. Star Wars Role-Playing revised, expanded, and updated. Oh. By Womp Rat Press. Was this the one that people were talking about yesterday, saying that that there was a second edition, which like is an official second edition. Is this like the unofficial expanded version of this? Let me see if I can fix something about my camera here. Well, I don't see it. So is that what that is? Good morning, PH. Good morning. So Philip says, I like that you can get Star Wars D6 Re-Up Edition in a 5 digest booklet, albeit print your own. Oh, second edition is all in color? Oh, they pulled out all the stops then for second edition. You need to get a copy. Oh, the second edition, if I can. Okay, so Re-Up is the unofficial 4th edition. Okay. I found it. Okay. Well, that actually sounds like something that we should take a look at. That sounds fun. So I see the PDF right here. I'm going to save that. So that's cool. I'd be interested to know how they changed and revised things, and how this particular track of role playing, like we were talking about with rules, has changed then. So unofficial and community published. Excellent. Okay. All right. That's pretty cool. All right, so let me show you. I want to show you a couple of things about the gaming coffee shop that's come up, because one of the things. Let me pull up the stream here. About how this works, because I knew that there were going to be a couple of different things here. Oh, here we go. Now we're loaded. Okay, so we're talking about. So here is the gaming coffee shop right here, and like how this works, because there are several different layers here, and that's why I was trying to make it as simple as possible. But I want to show, and I think everything has been working, although there have been some questions, because people have been getting tickets and they've already logged in and they've walked around and stuff like that on their own, which is perfectly fine. But there were some questions about specifically how you connect to a table. So I want to show you that. I just noticed that I had been syncing. If I went fuzzy for a second, I just noticed that I was all of a sudden syncing something from Dropbox. So I paused that. So maybe I'll come back here in just a second. But okay, so when you get a ticket for the coffee shop, you're going to have a link on your ticket that takes you into the system. So it's best if you have a webcam so people can see you, although it's not required. Although for some games, webcams are probably better, especially if there's a social dimension to this, when you're like trying to, like with Secret Hitler, trying to read body cues. So people who are playing that probably should all have web cameras. The people might have an advantage if they didn't have a webcam. But anyway, so if you got your webcam, your microphone, you can download this software as an app. I've been running it. I'm running this as an app on my Mac here. You can run it in browser as well. I believe you can download it to an iPad. But anyway, when you get the ticket will give you a link and a password. The link and the password are to the whole coffee shop right here. So if you go to the link, you enter the password, and then you beam in to the coffee shop right here. And of course, the map of the whole place is right over here. The schedule is right here. The help desk is down here. That's got all the information that we will keep updated about, how to use the coffee shop if you need this. I've got links to the videos that I put out as well. So if you want to watch it in video format, and then also information on all the different games that we've got. So if you need some information on like how to play Secret Hitler, okay, that's the rule book I have right there. But like how to play Shadow Dark, I've got more information, on my videos and things like that. So if you want to check that out, how to play in 5 minutes and so forth. But okay, but let's say you've got your table. So let's go over here to the schedule. So like for tonight, we've got a limited number of people in here. But let's say you say, look at the schedule and you say, okay, so at table C6, CS1, we're going to be playing Hero Quest. I'm going to run Hero Quest. Everybody would like to play. We can put other things. This schedule is completely editable by anyone with the link. So once you're here, if you're like, hey, I want to let everybody know that I want to run, I want to play Secret Hitler, you can just put on here right from this right here. I'm playing Secret Hitler. What table you're going to be at, you can go look at the map and figure out what table you want to be at, what time you want it to be there, who's organizing, any kind of notes, how many players you want to have. And then we can put over here, like if you want to sign up, there are only a few people here for tonight. So, only a maximum of 10 tonight, including myself, will be in the coffee shop. But I'm trying to go through everything. So if you wanted to be sure in the future, if you wanted to be sure that like, oh, I really want to make sure that I get on this Hero Quest, you can, Bob can come in here and say, I'm going to reserve the player 2 spot. And you can type whatever you need to in that. If you specifically want to say you play the elf or something like that, you can do that. I'm intentionally keeping this free form. That way, also, you can look at it. Of course, when the coffee shop's open, it's not like you have to be there the entire time. It's just kind of like, hey, it's open from 5 o'clock tonight until 10 o'clock tonight, Central Time. That's what the ticket is. So we're just going to be open from 5 to 10, and we can play different games and whatever. You can come in and out at any time. But you can check the schedule if there's a specific game being played at a certain time, and then you can also sign up if you want to kind of reserve your seat at that table. But the way you actually get to a specific table instantiation is with this code right here. So for everybody, if you're playing a game, then you can create your game on playingcards.io. Playingcards.io is the one that we are using most of the time because it integrates the virtual tabletop we're using most of the time because it integrates with this software. So for instance, if we're playing Hero Quest right here, here's the link right here. That's the link that everybody will need at the table, including the Game Master. Now, Game Master will have it, Zargon. But everybody's got access to this link right here. So at CS01, table CS01, we'll be playing Hero Quest, and that is the virtual tabletop right there. So when I'm ready to go, oh, look, CS01 is this table right here. So everybody comes over here, hits X. This brings up playingcards.io, and then I can go right up here to the top. I should be able to, let's check, see if I can go right up here to the top. Or I can put in the room code, that CJ, that right there down here in room code. This should work. Yep. So here we go. So once I have that room code, here I am at a Hero Quest board. So then everybody there, you'll see up here across the top, everybody will be connected. You can see where my video is up there at the top. Everybody will be connected up there with audio and visual, so you'll be able to play. And then this connects everybody to that particular tabletop. So yeah, there are a couple of different levels. There's the login to the whole coffee shop where you can walk around, talk to people, find tables, be social. I really like this software because unlike other online conventions. Like when I had heard like, we're going to be running an online convention, the first time I had seen the software, I mean, when I had heard before I had seen this software, it's like, oh, online convention. What does that mean? Does that mean that there's going to be a whole bunch of links to like YouTube live streams or something like that? Or a whole bunch of links to Zoom calls? Well, that's not as cool. Here with this, the virtual convention is going on at a certain time. And yeah, you can walk around, you can talk to people organically, because anytime you walk up with your avatar, you're going to be connected to that person with the your video call. And so you can connect with that person. Then if you walk off, you're disconnected. So you can actually mingle, and you get what seemed like, as I was using it at the virtual convention I went to, a really neat way to interact with people that was simulating the physical. Now, of course, people say, why don't you just go and actually go to a convention? Because now we all can't get to conventions, and conventions only happen, like Gen Con and Origins, both only happen once a year. So I think this is a great way to do both. We get the interaction of walking around, and we can sit down and actually play with a virtual tabletop. So if you want one, if you want to come in tonight, Sable is asking about the link to the tickets. I'll put this down here. I'll put this right here. Here it is. Link to a ticket. So we will start at 5:00 p.m. Central Time tonight. So that right there, that should take you right there, the link to the ticket. One of the reasons that I'm doing a test with a limited number of people is because I'm sure there will be things that come up. They're like, oh, okay, so we need to change this. We need to change this over before there are like hundreds of people in here. It'd be great if there were like hundreds of people in here. But I do want there to be like freeform gaming too. If you come over here to, sit down with people, there are playingcards.io itself does have some basic games, and they're not the kinds of strategy big box games that we typically play. We got chess, we got checkers, they got different card games, of course. So those are all available to play as well. I've been building out things like Shadow Dark and our big box kinds of games that we want to play. But I do want there to be open gaming. So what might have to happen, I create these games by using these Pico files. So like when I'm connecting in here, if I wanted to convert this to something else, I can do that by editing this whole table. I can say edit table. I wonder if inside of this, I've never tried to actually upload a new file from inside here. Hang on, there's a weird buzzing in the kitchen. Just one second. Okay, that was the coffee maker for some reason. Some kind of weird buzzing with the coffee maker. So you can create your own Pico files for playingcards.io if you want. If you're trying to create your own game, or if you've got a game you're going to play test or something like that, you can upload that. You can create that and then have it available to upload. I'm not connected to my right folder over here. That's the problem that I got. Oh, here we go. So like, for instance, if I wanted this to be Secret Hitler for 5 or 6 players, then I can upload this. I'll have to convert this back over to HeroQuest. But I can upload that Pico file. And boom, now the game is ready. Now that room is set up at that link, ready to play. This is a 5 or 6 person game of Secret Hitler. So, I want there to also be an organic element to this, like open gaming or stuff like that, because we can put stuff on the schedule, which I think is a great way to do it. That way, what's going to be there at certain times, and you can sign up and you can reserve a seat. But if people just show up and they want to play a game, there needs to be like an open gaming area as well. So the game masters and certain people, or maybe these need to be connected to the help file, where you can find these Pico files. So if you want to sit down and you just want to start an organic game of Secret Hitler or One Night Werewolf or any of the other games that we've got, then you can download the Pico file yourself and then start that table. So I'm still working out that exactly. Right now, we just have the rooms already set up for the table. I'm going to need to convert this room back to Hero Quest. Hero Quest game system version 1. And I've got different versions of the Pico files as well. That way, if we change things and update, we'll know which version of the build out it is if things get updated. But anyway, that's what there is. So there's the code when you get the ticket that will take you to the coffee shop itself. But then when you sit down at a table, you will have a room code specifically that gets you into the virtual tabletop. So there we go. Tomocrat says, I really like the idea of the coffee shop, and I just want to explore and see the building. Later, you need to add some more decor. Yeah, you can do that. You can build out more decor. If I'm going fuzzy again, it's because I'm uploading this file to convert this over to HeroQuest. This HeroQuest file is a big file. Because yeah, we can make we can do it further adjustments to the coffee shop and add more decor and stuff like that. Oh yeah, thank God there were no dire wasps in here. Thank God that it was not that. Let's see. Mike says all looks easy except for the Pico file making part. Yeah, so that's why I was making them myself. So that's why I started off making the Pico files or PCIO files myself. So I spent quite a bit of time building out Hero Quest, building out Dragon Strike, building out Shadow Dark. I still want to do the index card RPG, although their VT ICVTT does integrate with this coffee shop pretty well. So I've got one table downstairs that's actually connected to it in the basement, in the virtual basement. We got a basement over here, so people can play that out. But I wanted to get us started. We got 7 different games that are already built out with these Pico files. So I want to continue to add more, because one of the reasons that I want to do this is because there are games that I want to play and I don't get to play them either. So I want to build them out for the coffee shop. But I figured we need to get started. I can't build. Let's not build. Wait till I build 20 different games or something like that. So what I think will just happen is that we'll start, and then periodically we'll just add, some new games to keep everything fresh as we have like a new convention. I think we call it RavenCon, and people can build it out themselves. Absolutely, especially if you're trying to like play test one of your games or something, or you've got a favorite game that you want to bring. You can build out the Pico file for it, but also. Over the coming weeks and months, I want to just kind of slowly add more stuff out there. And there are some games that already have some VTT assets already built for it, and that includes like Vast Grim. I want to, and so I had to generate some assets for some of these games and some of them to create myself. But other games already have VTT assets for them, and so they just need to be brought into the Pico file format. Such as Vast Grim. We've looked at Vast Grim quite a bit over here. Vast Grim is done by my friend Brian Colin, and he already has a bunch of VTT assets. I haven't talked to him yet, but I want to reach out to him later and say, rather soon. But that one could be one that is one to go in. But people liked Vast Grim in general on this stream, and so it would be great to be able to play it. I know. We don't get a chance to play all the games we want to play. So it would be great if there were a Vast Grim build out, and Brian would say, hey, use these VTT assets that he's already created, so you get the Vast Grim, styling and all that. And the same way with like Thrones and Bones with Lou. I know Lou has gone to a lot of trouble to create VTT assets for the Thrones and Bones RPG, for the Norse themed RPG in the world of Thrones and Bones that his novels are in and all of that. And so I did reach out to him, and he thought this idea was kind of cool. So I told him I'll run the test and then get back with him. So, that's some VTT assets that we could be able to just build out. So if you want to be part of the test tonight, I'm testing all parts of it, from the ticketing system to everything. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking yesterday night, maybe we even do like we could also do this as a Kickstarter if we're going to run an event or a crowdfunding campaign. I don't know, but I wanted to be able to connect it with ravenkeep.net and all that. And it looks like that's working. So if you want to be here, I'm going to have the coffee shop open from 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time to 10 o'clock p.m. Central Time tonight. So you can come in, you can hang out, chat, do whatever. We will play games. We'll probably organize a bit. We got the schedule, but we can also be real flexible in the organizations if other people show up. If we got like 7 people who all want to play together, then maybe doing a Secret Hitler or One Night Werewolf would be great. If we got 5 people there at a time, well, I'll run the Hero Quest game. The Wizard's Quest can have 6 people. So we're just going to be casual, but I think it's going to be fun, and we will get everything going. So I'll post this link one more time. So right here, coffee shop gaming tonight, $3 tonight. Tonight will be $3. Let's see. BGD says the Index Card RPG Master Edition comes with a substantial print and play VTT asset pack for building out your adventures. The 100 image art volumes are also available. I didn't see that, but I did see that the starter set that we were looking at had icons on it, and I was like, oh well, that could potentially make things even faster for building out a playingcards.io version of the Index Card RPG, because I also know that one's popular here. Because it had icons. If the Master's Edition also has that, that would also make building out the Index Card RPG with its theme also fast. So that would that helps. If we can use things like that and use assets like that people like for or allow us to use and stuff like that, that would be fantastic. Hey, Robert, good morning. All right, so that was just notes about the use, the setup, how things go. With that, let's see. I actually I've got a lunch meeting I've got to get to today. So I don't know what you think. This is the morning grind, but what does that have to do with it? But I've got to drive for a little bit to get to it. So let's skip our reading today and let's just go right to this. Took a little bit, so we will go over to Star Wars. Oh, Philip says they're all free. Okay, that's cool. So that probably makes it easier. It took me longer to build out Shadow Dark than I was expecting, because I had to learn a whole bunch of stuff about, the how to put an RPG in the playingcards.io. I think it's a fantastic system because it's lightweight. There's so much you can do. When I saw Playing Cards, I was like, oh, there is so much that we can do with that system. So I will look into that. Shadow Dark took me longer, but I think that next RPGs will be easier, especially if there are already assets for Index Card RPG. I kind of want that one to be next, because I know that a lot of people here are interested in RPG, the Index Card RPG. It's been very popular every time we've talked about it here on the show, and I also know that it's got a great community with it. So perhaps, no, I know they also have the Rune Jammer, isn't that what it's called? That's coming up. But hey, we could play over here too. Thank you, BGD. All right, let's go over to Star Wars. I'm going to turn on the auxiliary camera here. Go auxiliary camera. And so I'd love to see you tonight. I think this could be a fantastic system and way for people to get together and play games and experience a lot more games. But we need to run a test, and then we need to get more people involved. What am I? Here we go. All right, moving stuff out of the way. Good morning, Yogg-Sothoth. All right, there we go. Where'd my book go? Oh, right here. All right, so let's take a look at Star Wars for a little while. Where did we get to? We were looking at okay, I think we had just looked at initiative. We looked at initiative, we looked at movement. We looked at shooting. Okay, we looked at this because we looked at how you take damage. We looked at dodges. Okay, so that's where we were. We were just taking a look at dodges. And then we've got archaic and unusual weapons. We're still in what they call the bare bones section for players. Okay, so that's not much. And then we got an introduction to role-playing, so we will see what that is. But it says archaic and unusual weapons here. Some characters start with out-of-date or unusual weapons, like Chewbacca's bowcaster. Each of these weapons is used with a different skill, not with the blaster skill. If your character has such a skill, it's listed on his character template. These weapons follow the same rules as blasters. Fire by archaic or unusual weapons can be dodged just like blaster fire. Hand-to-hand. If your character is near someone else, he can attack the other character in hand-to-hand combat. If your character isn't carrying a melee weapon, you can use the brawling skill. If he uses a melee weapon, you use the melee skill. Basically, you can use the same rules as blasters, except the base difficulty for the attack is not determined by range, but by the weapon used. See the weapon chart on page 139. Hey, Zero. Good morning. Here's the weapon chart. Archaic weapons, grenades, melee weapons. Damage, difficulty. Hands, difficulty 5. Club, difficulty 5. Gaddafi, that must be the Gaddafi, Gaderffii, the Sand People stick. I bet that's what that is, difficulty 5. But then we've got a modifier here based on our strength. So strength plus some number of D. Vibro axe, vibro blade, and lightsaber. A lightsaber is a difficulty 20 weapon, but it does 5D of damage. 2 asterisks, though. Characters with the control skill, that's one of the 4 skills, add skill code damage. Characters with the control skill add skill code damage. Anything less than 3 meters away is point blank for ranged weapons. Let's see. I'll turn off my heater down here. So it looks like lightsabers are appropriately lethal. Basically, use the same rules as blasters, except for the base difficulty for the attack is not determined by the range, but by the weapon used. In addition, the damage code when making a brawling attack is the character's strength. If the character uses a melee weapon, the damage code is the weapon's code plus his strength. When a character fights hand-to-hand, he can use the brawling skill if he doesn't have a weapon, or the melee parry if he does. They work just like dodge, but they only affect hand-to-hand attacks, not blaster or other fire. So brawling parry, yeah. So I remember we had 3 different reactions for brawling parry or melee parry. Brawling parry only works against brawling attacks, not melee attacks. Melee works against both. Dodge does not affect brawling or melee attacks. Grenades. If your character has a grenade, he can throw it in any place you like. The difficulty number depends on the range. Ranges for grenades are printed on the weapon chart. Grenades. Oh, we have a whole section right here just about grenades. Grenade. Range in meters. So we got short range, medium, and long range. And then damage. Damage code. And then we got other, looks like dice codes under short, medium, and long. See, this says damage at point blank range. Oh, and point blank range is 3 meters. Thermal detonator. Thermal detonators do 10D damage at point blank range, 8D, 5D, and 2D. So thermal detonators are also nasty. Mike says, I recall playing this game and Force users were like superheroes in the game. I assume this is the Star Wars game by West End Games. Yep, this is it. That's what this is. Star Wars, West End Games. This is the 40th anniversary that was reprinted by Fantasy Flight. Barney, good morning. Good to see you. Fantastic game to run. One of the less dated of the old game's rule systems. I love the reactive defense systems. Trey. Good morning, Trey. Good to see you. If you're a fan of the West End game Star Wars RPG, be sure to check out Mini 6. 99% of the same rules and 36 pages. Let's see. If your roll is equal to or greater than the difficulty number, it lands where you want it. If your roll is lower, it may end up in your lap. Well, that's not good. Grenades do damage to everyone around them within 10 meters, so be careful where you throw them. If a grenade, so we do have a grenade scatter chart I saw as well. Grenade scatter diagram, direction of throw. Roll 3D to determine distance of scatter in meters. If a grenade lands near you, you can dodge to avoid injury. The game master rolls 4D for the grenade. Its difficulty number depends on your distance from it. So this is, I guess that's what this is. If you end up being, this is, I guess, the difficulty, no, it's the range that you're trying to throw it. That determines your difficulty to throw it, because we've got difficulty numbers for short, medium, and long range. But then how far are you from the grenade? That determines your damage. Your dodge increases the grenade's difficulty number. If the roll is greater than or equal to the modified difficulty, damage is determined normally. A grenade's code depends on the distance to its target. Whenever you dodge against a grenade, you end the action segment prone. If you dodge in an action segment, your dodge affects all blaster fire and grenade attacks at the same segment. Oh, here's something about leveling up. We were wondering about this. Philip says, if you're going minimal, check out Breach World or Micro Pen D6. I have not heard of either one of those. Like I said, golden age of RPGs. How many of these are there? How can you ever pick the right one? So skill points. This has something to do about leveling up. At the end of an adventure, the game master may assign you skill points. The better you did in the adventure, the more skill points you receive. You get them for doing great deeds, for outwitting your opponent, and for playing your role well. You can spend skill points to increase your skill codes. You can never increase your attribute scores. To increase a skill code by 1 pip, you must spend as many skill points as the number before the D. For example, increasing a skill of 2D costs 2 skill points. Increasing a skill of 5D costs 5 skill points. Increasing a skill of 3D plus 2 costs 3 skill points. When you increase a when you increase a skill by 1 pip, a skill with no plus goes to +1, and a +1 skill goes to +2, and a +2 skill loses its plus, but increases the number before the D by 1. So that's what people are saying. You can only have up to a +2, because once you would go to a +3, then you get another die. Example, increasing a skill of 2D by 1 pip increases the skill code to 1D plus 1. Increasing a skill code of 2D plus 1 makes it 2D plus 2. Increasing a 2D plus 2 makes it 3D. You can spend your skill points any way you like, increasing any of your skills by any amount, so long as you don't spend more skill points than you have. You can just save skill points you don't want to spend them all at once. Just write a note on your template saying how many points you've saved. You can spend them later at the end of any session of play. So I guess right now we're leveling up by giving out freeform skill points by the game master. We're about to get to the Force. So Tomocrat says, Force users are powerhouses in this system, but the dark side is what held them back. So as much as step on a bug, you could get a dark side point. And each time there's a chance to lose your character. There's hyperspace D6 as well. So Barney says, it gets a lot of flack for the Force system being too overpowered, but it could be argued that it's supposed to be. It's not very balanced in movies either. Tomocrat says all the West End books are prequels, so all the lore is from the 3 movies and some books. Good. So the Force. All right, how does the Force work? The Force is the mystic power that binds all things together and sustains life. Trusting to the Force. All starting characters have one or more Force points. At any time during the game, you can tell the game master, I'm trusting the Force. This means you're attempting to use your luck, moxie, or control. The Force manifests in many ways to make sure that what you want happens. You can only trust the Force as many times in the adventure as you have Force points. At the end of the adventure, the game master may award you additional Force points. For example, a character has 3 Force points. He can trust the Force 3 times in an adventure. When you trust the Force, your chances of doing what you want increases dramatically. For the round in which you spend the point, all skill and attribute codes are doubled. That means you can do many more things in the round, or you can be virtually certain of doing one thing which you want badly to succeed in doing. So, for example, if Rorik spends a Force point, his blaster skill from the round is 10d plus 2. His dodge is 8d plus 2, and his technical attribute is 4d plus 4. When you trust the Force, one of 4 things happens. If you trust the Force to do evil, you lose the Force point. It is permanently lost. In addition, you gain a dark side point. Each time you gain a dark side point, there's a chance your character will turn to the dark side. Since all player characters are members of the Rebellion, if you turn to the dark side, you lose your character. The game master will take him away from you and use him as a villain. You have to create a whole new character. Hey, weird guy. Good morning, weird guy. Have I seen you in the comments before? I'm not sure. I don't think so. So here's to you, weird guy 564. Welcome. But Weird Guy says, the general consensus is of all the various Star Wars games available, this first edition West End games is still the best. I disagree, as I prefer Mini 6 Bare Bones, a free game, by the way, that does it better. We're going to have to take a look at that sometime. Oh, Robert says, the Force is definitely not luck. Han argues for Tuna, where Vader and the Emperor committed to destiny and fate. Obi-Wan argues for providence. Tomocrat says they also used the 6D system from Men in Black. That was a fun setting. Oh, that would be a fun setting. Barney says you should also add the Force build slowly. You need to level up in your sense, control, and alter skills. Many players require high rolls of more than one to work at the same time. Oh, in the Discord server, we got Mini 6. Thank you, Trey. Link to the Discord server is in the description if you want it. Okay, so that was about Darkseid. If you trust the Force in a way that's neither particularly heroic nor evil, you lose the Force point, but do not gain a Darkseid point. For example, Rorik is hit by a laser cannon and fears that he will be mortally wounded. He spends a Force point to double his strength roll. Saving your own bacon is not real heroic, but neither is it evil. Rorik loses the Force point, but gains no Darkseid points. If you trust the Force in a heroic way to save others or defeat evil, you do not lose the Force point. At the end of the adventure, you get that Force point back, so you can use the Force again in the next adventure. So that says you do not lose the Force point at the end of you get it back. So it's temporarily gone. But it sounds like up here you're losing the capability of having that Force point. Here we're just saying that it's gone, but you can get it back. So it's like current and maximum, I guess, or current and available. If you trust the Force in a heroic and dramatically appropriate way at the climax of the adventure or to do a mighty deed, not only do you get the Force point back at the end of the adventure, but the game master may award you another point as well. The game master decides when an action is evil, heroic, or dramatically appropriate. Weird Guy says, for example, spending a Force point in Mini 6 does not double your result. It's weaker than in MSBB. However, spending a hero point to do things like give you a clue or reduce damage. PH says, I find this Force and Darkseid more restrictive than humanity and Vampire. Hey, see you later, Trey. Glad you dropped by. Thank you. See you later. So the powers of the Force. Most characters don't have any ability to use the Force to control and minds and bodies, levitate objects, etc. If yours does, one or more Force skills are listed on your character template. If no Force skills are listed, you don't need to read this section. Okay. But we want to know what Jedi here. Characters with Force skills must follow a strict code. If you fail to do so, you may gain dark side points. Most characters can only gain dark side points when they trust to the Force. Jedi characters gain them at any time they do evil. You may not kill, except in self-defense or the defense of others. You may not act for personal gain of wealth or power. You must never act from hatred, anger, fear, or aggression. Lightsabers. A lightsaber is a melee weapon, but you can use it with your lightsaber skill. But you use it with your lightsaber skill, not your melee weapon skill. Unlike other melee weapons, a lightsaber's damage does not depend on your strength code, but on your control skill code. See page 70. You can parry with a lightsaber. You can either use your melee parry skill or your force sense skill if you have that skill. Obviously, you'll use whichever one is better. Control. You can use the control skill to control the force inherent in your own body. By doing so, you can control your own hunger, pain, thirst, and exhaustion. You can help your immune system defeat poisons and diseases. You can accelerate your body's natural healing abilities, heighten your natural alertness, or put your body into a hibernating trance. You can even try to do things. If you ever try to do any of these things, the game master will tell you what the difficulty number is. So control is one of the abilities. Game master will let you know. So that might be later in the book someplace. Tomocrat said, I had a Jedi from the Tales of the Jedi era that was healer based. When my GM made a lot of force powers, for healing and revival. By new era stories, my character would be a Sith Lord. PH says, they definitely don't know RPG players, LOL. Can't do bad things or act on emotions. So sense. If you have the sense skill, you can feel the ebb and flow of the Force, sensing the bonds that connect all things. You can read the feelings of others, heighten your own senses, and tell how badly damaged or diseased an organism is. If you have the sense skill, you can use the lightsaber to parry blaster bolts, as well as other melee weapons. You roll your sense skill and add the result to the blaster fire's difficulty number. This is the only time a melee weapon can be used to parry blaster fire. You can even try to reflect a blaster bolt back on its firer or at another target. This is considered 2 uses of the sense skill, so the die code is reduced by 1d or more if you're using the other skill at the same time. If you're using another skill at the same time. The first skill use increases the blaster fire's difficulty number. If he misses, you use your sense skill the second time to aim the blaster bolt at someone else. The game master tells you what the difficulty number is. If your sense skill roll is equal or higher, you have hit your intended target. The blaster's bolt damage code is, of course, the damage code for the weapon that fired it. If you possess both of the sense and control skills, you can combine them to read minds, project thoughts and feelings into the minds of others, and see the past, present, and possible futures. Alter is number 3. If you have the alter skill, you can move objects with your mind alone. If you possess both control and alter, you may do to the bodies of others what you can do to your own. Help them to withstand pain, fatigue, hunger, and thirst, accelerate healing, and so on. If you possess all 3 Force skills, you can change the contents of the minds of others, causing them to see what is not there, remember things incorrectly, or come to false conclusions. For example, these are not the droids you're looking for. It says other skills. It's rumored that there are skills beyond the first 3. Historical records say the ancient Jedi Knights had powers far beyond the ken of modern life. But since their august order has disappeared from the galaxy, the methods they knew and disciplines they used are now unknown. So Weird Guy says the 3 Force skills was one attempt to rein in Jedi. They don't have an attribute to add to, so you start out really bad at them, but it only helps balance for so long. Tomocrat is a fan of the Force sense setup here, control, sense, and alter. That got used more too. We talked about how we're going to take a look at the source book in this series as we go here. But we talked about how influential this source book was in the development of what the Star Wars EU and just the world in general. I wonder where this came from too, because I feel like I feel like I remember this from other things as well. Was this the first division of control, sense, and alter for force powers? I don't remember. But as influential as this was, it wouldn't surprise me. So we do have an introduction to role-playing here. Oh, so this is like a playing here, like an example of play. Oh, it is. It is. You're right. Weird Guy says, also, that picture of Luke always bothered me. His lightsaber blade looks tilted to the left to me. Yes, it does. It does look like it's coming out of his, not straight out of the lightsaber handle. I agree. So Weird Guy also confirms that this is the genesis of the 3 skills. All right, so we got an example of play here, which I always like. Actually, a very extended example of play here. Well, this actually says, oh, wait. Oh, no, wait. This is an example of play over here. Kind of formatted more. Is this choose your own adventure or a solo play? Is this what they were talking about? You now know enough of the rules to start playing, but a role-playing game is more than rules. Role-playing games are really about role-playing and storytelling. Here's a solitaire adventure. Oh, so this is actually a choose-your-own solitaire adventure. We suggest you play through it to get a feel of the game. Well, that sounds like fun. I don't have enough time to do that today. But that sounds like something we should do. That sounds like fun, because I've got to drive to a lunch meeting today. But then we do have an example of play here as well. And then we go into the Game Master section. Introducing game mastering. Attributes and skills. There are 6 attributes in the game: dexterity, knowledge, mechanical, perception, strength, and technical. When do you make a roll? So, when do you make a roll? When a character tries to do something important. When someone wants to walk across a room or scratch his nose, you don't call for a roll. You don't even call for a roll when he tries to drive a land speeder across a completely flat plane or tighten a bolt with a hydro spanner. If it's something any nincompoop can do, then don't waste time. The way this is written is so funny. Oh, yes. Thank you, Sable, for the reminder. Please do like the stream so that this could get pushed out to other people who would like to be here. Michael. Good morning, Michael. Michael says, the core D6 system is a universal mechanic. However, the company went defunct and the system is now open for use. Mini D6 is a modified version. Normally use skills instead of attributes. Whenever a character tries to do something, use the skill to decide what he's using. But sometimes the character tries to do something which isn't covered by any of the skills in the game. For instance, there is no juggling skill. They like using juggling as an example. In this case, use the attribute which governs what the character is doing. So the attributes are lower because then you added with a 7D at character creation to the skills. Weird Guy says, this is also the first RPG I ever owned that had the gimmick where the GM can set a difficulty number for a game dice check. Really? Barney says, if anyone is planning to run it, I recommend getting the 2nd edition revised, expanded, and updated. Community made, I think. PDF is easy to find, contains a ton of extra rules, and is well laid out. Yeah, we've had that one recommended, so we might have to take a look at that one in this series. It's so great how some of the West End Games components are still in every Star Wars RPG system, either from the Force or hyperspace travel. A bit of both Star Wars and gaming history here. So this is when we did have difficulty numbers. So this tells us over here in the Game Master section that very easy tasks are difficulty 5, easy tasks difficulty 10, moderate tasks 15, difficult 20, very difficult tasks 30. Should you tell players the difficulty number he's trying to roll against? Sure, if you want him to know. Interpreting rules, optional. Sometimes you want to know how well a player did something. Whether he did great or really botched it. Use the number he rolls as an indication of performance. We don't want to get too bogged down in detail here. Suffice it to say that a roll, which is much higher than the difficulty number, is a spectacular success, and a roll which is much lower is a spectacular failure. Skill descriptions here. Beast riding with the tauntaun. Oh, really? Sable says, everything I've read says the second edition isn't as good as the first edition because it's more complicated. Oh, thank you, Weird Guy. Weird Guy for $10. I really appreciate it. Weird Guy says, okay, not Star Wars related, been lurking here a long time and watch a lot of your backlog of videos. It's only fair that I tip the bartender for good content. I love deep dives into game rules. Well, thank you, Weird Guy. I'm so glad that you've been here. I'm glad that you showed up on the stream too, live. So great to get to talk to you. Thank you. We have a few color images here. A challenge this big is not for everyone. Wait, what is this? A faithful Wookiee companion may be a smuggler's best friend, but a blaster comes in a close second. Gee, good astrogation and piloting skills often come in handy too. The story of a hero is a harrowing one, a story of fear, struggle, terrible danger, and personal loss. But the hero perseveres and stays true to his dreams. He gains in power, strength, and wisdom. Michael says, there are systems for self-build characters with dice for stats and skills or a point by per pip die. There are systems for self-built characters. And Lynn asks, do they include world generation rules, or is it just something the GM is supposed to make up on the fly? Like, you're talking about actually planet generation rules? There's only so much room here. I don't know if we have those. We will see. What is this? So this is a challenge this big. It's difficult to show on here. A challenge this big is not for everyone. Hey, good morning, Vision. Good morning. Good to see you. Weird Guy says, full color pictures from behind the scenes that are not in the movies. Also, this game has occasional recruitment adverts for the fun of it. So that's what this looks like. So this says, a challenge this big is not for everybody. You're looking for a challenge, one that can prepare you for anything. Where you can walk with the best and discover strengths that you didn't even know you had. You'll find all of that and more in the Imperial Navy. Only the best. The Navy is not for everyone. Only the best meet the stringent entry requirements. Even if you are past the intensive physical and mental challenge of basic training. You'll have to be tough, brave, intelligent, and loyal to prove yourself worthy. If you have these qualities, then you're made of the stuff we're looking for. Excellent career opportunities. The Imperial Navy offers a wide variety of excellent career opportunities. If you qualify, you can train in the fields of navigation, engineering, medicine, computers, and more. The Navy also offers pilot training in both large and small spacecraft. If you enlist for 5 years or more or have the necessary leadership qualities, you may be eligible for officers' candidacy training, a privileged opportunity to join the Navy's elite. Imagine yourself commanding a strategic military outpost, the TIE Fighter Squadron, or even the mighty Star Destroyer. The potential for rapid advancement is limited only by your ambition, skill, and loyalty. Adventure. Life in the Navy is full of adventure. You'll have an unequaled opportunity to broaden your horizons. During your tour of duty, you'll visit many exotic worlds and meet many interesting people. Wherever you go, you will be admired and respected because you are one of the best. One of the guardians of order and justice in the galaxy. One of the valiant men of the Imperial Navy. Join today. Across the galaxy, millions of gallant men are defending our great empire from the evil enemies who oppose law and order. Do you have the courage to answer the Empire's call and join them on the noble crusade? If you've got what it takes to be part of the most powerful military force in the galaxy, contact the Imperial Navy screening officer at your local recruitment office. Do it today and meet the greatest challenge of your life. The Imperial Navy, a proud allegiance. Michael says, I believe there's a book for planet generation. Yeah, we looked at Stars Without Number. Poor Mark. They don't teach marksmanship in the Imperial Navy. It says, those are the Stormtrooper legions. In the Imperial Army, we train you to aim and aim well. Those second lieutenants don't shoot themselves in the back, you know. Let's see. So this is all still strength descriptions. Chapter 3, Combat. So that was the bare bones in the beginning. That was 4 players. It's interesting that they separate it like that. So there's the bare bones for the player, but then the combat section is actually in the Game Master section. The sequencing is something, man, okay, I've got a little bit more time. I want to hang out with everybody a bit more. So we'll go for a few more moments. Let's take a look at combat here. I don't really want to leave, but I do have to make a drive to lunch here. But we'll go for about 10 more minutes or something. Oh, did we have using miniatures here? So we talked about miniatures. I remember there being Star Wars miniatures. I didn't have any, but man, I thought they were cool. So they must have gone with this. Now I've got Star Wars miniatures because I've got tons of stuff from Legion. I have my Legion of Stormtroopers over there. So we could use miniatures. So let's see. I don't want to go through every bit of this, but let's go into sequencing because that was different. Combat is divided into combat rounds. Each round represents 5 seconds. You keep on playing one combat round after another until one side is dead or is fled or surrendered. Each combat round follows this sequence. Decision segment. Decide what each non-player character is going to do this combat round. While you're deciding, let the players decide what they want to do. Declaration segment. Go around the table and ask each player what he wants to do. Tell the players what the NPCs are doing. First action segment. Each character for whom an action was declared takes his first action. An action is either a movement or a skill or attribute use. Second action segment. If any character declared more than one action, characters' second actions are now resolved. Any character from whom only one action was declared does nothing, but may dodge and or parry in this segment. Subsequent action segments. If any character declares more than 2 actions, additional action segments occur until all players have performed their declared actions. Declaration. Don't let them hesitate. If a player hesitates, so does his character. Combat in Star Wars is fast and furious. It's not a chess game where the players can mull over them for the next few hours. Once a player has declared what he's doing, he may not change his mind. Here's a suggestion. Seat the players whose character has the lowest perception to your left, the one who has the next lowest perception next to him, and so on, around the table. When you ask players what they're doing, start with the player to your left. That way, the least observant character acts before he sees what the other characters are doing, while the most observant gets to find out what the others are doing. Or seat the most experienced player to your left so he can act first and set an example for the less experienced players to follow. Fire combat. So here we do have the note here with armor. Armor increases a character's strength code for damage determination purposes only. For example, a standard Stormtrooper armor increases the character's strength by 1d when rolling to resist damage. A character with a strength of 2d plus 1 wearing Stormtrooper armor would roll 3d plus 1 when hit by blaster fire. The armor chart provides more detail. Keeping track of damage. When a player character is injured, ask the player to note his wound status on his character template. You must keep track of NPC wounds. When several NPCs are involved in combat, it's useful to use scrap paper to keep track of them. Otherwise, you may forget who's been injured and by how much. Setting blasters to stun. Blasters can be set to stun. That is, to knock a target unconscious without killing or injuring. Setting blasters on stun or resetting them to normal operation reduces all skills and attribute codes for the same round by 1d because it takes a little bit of effort and concentration. However, doing so is not considered an action and does not take an action segment. When a blaster set on stun is fired, the same rules are followed. The only difference is the effect of damages are different. Kill and incapacitate, damage roll at least twice strength roll. A character who suffers one of these results is instead knocked unconscious. If you get a wound result, which is damage roll greater than but less than twice the strength roll, a character who has suffered a wound is instead stunned for 2 combat rounds. Stun. Strength roll greater than damage roll, no effect. A character who has been stunned by a blaster set on stun has not yet recovered, and is then again stunned by the blaster is set on stun, is then stunned by a blaster again, is knocked unconscious. Hand-to-hand combat again, grenades again. Let's see what it says about using miniatures, because it was very freeform and intended to be kind of theater of the mind like, but we do have some options here for miniatures. Weird Guy says, this is one area I think Mini 6 did it better. Defense skills get confusing as players can now choose how many actions they do, including defense rolls. And Mini 6 defense rolls are free and pre-rolled. Barney says, the action economy is really cool and flexible, as well as multiple actions eating into the die that you can do each section. Weird Guy says, pre-rolled defense skills speed up combat because it cuts down dice rolling by half. You just get your average roll as a fixed dodge, parry, or block. Philip says, oh, check out Mythic D6 at some point too. It's almost the same, but successes are counted rather than total. It doesn't have the OGL tie or WEG. So yeah, so that I think this is what some people said is that you can be rolling a lot of dice here. If you trust the force and you're doubling your dice, so you would be rolling 10 dice and also trying to add up your entire roll. But okay, so this is what it says for miniatures. Instead of using maps, well, actually, let's go maps first. It says, using maps. Many of our published adventures contain maps which uses a square grid. Each square represents a space 2 meters across. When combat occurs in a mapped area, you can use the map to record the positions of the characters. If you don't have a map, you can easily draw one on a 4 square to the inch graph paper, which is widely available in stationery stores. It's easy enough to sketch one on the spot when you need to. Show where the characters are located on the map with pencil marks, tick marks, letters, or whatever you like. When a character moves, make a mark with his new position. If the map begins to get crowded or the marks get confusing, erase the it tells you to erase the ones you're not using. Erase the ones you're not using and you don't need anymore. Since facing is important in combat, you can represent a character's facing by drawing a little arrow. Characters can either face to the side of a square or diagonally. A character can only fire at a blaster at something he can see. You can determine what a character can see by laying a straight edge, the edge of a piece of paper or ruler, over the map from the center of the square he occupies to the square occupied by the target. If the straight edge goes through a wall or other obstruction, the line of sight is blocked. When a non-player character cannot be seen by a player character, don't pencil his position onto the map. Make a mental note of where he's located and draw him in when he's spotted. Okay, let's go down. Instead of using maps, you can use miniatures, metal figures. Whoop. Oh, there we go. Let's see. If you're interested in miniatures, we recommend their use in Star Wars: The Role-Playing Game. Miniatures are especially helpful because they can help players visualize their characters and their surroundings. Miniatures come unpainted, but paints and brushes for them are widely available at hobby stores. Many players enjoy painting figures which represent their characters, customizing, costuming, coloring to their wishes. This is such an interesting way to have written all of this. I mean, it's really introducing you to the whole hobby. When using miniatures representing stormtroopers, bounty hunters, and other villains are available, which you can use to represent the player's foes in combat. When using miniatures, position and facing are easy to determine since the position and facing of the miniature itself is visible. Because miniatures are considerably larger than 1/4 of an inch at the base, they cannot be placed on combat maps that come with adventures. Instead, place them on a tabletop. Instead of counting squares, use a ruler. 1 inch equals 2 meters. Figures can face in any direction and do not need to conform to a grid. You can represent the position of walls, bushes, or other obstacles by putting things on the table. Lengths of masking tape or yarn can represent walls. Books can represent hills or staircases. Dice, pencils, soda cans, anything else can represent obstacles. Improvisation is the key in the construction of miniature displays. Oh, let's go to the end of this chapter. Miscellaneous, counting ranges, modifying difficulty numbers, surprise. In an ambush situation, when one side knows where the opponents are, but the other doesn't, realize it's about to be attacked, that ambushers get 1 action segment of surprise. That means in the first segment, they can take whatever action they wish, but the targets cannot move or use skill or attributes, even to dodge. The targets still get to act in the same round, but their first action occurs in the second action segment. Ammunition and reloading. In the Star Wars movies, characters seem to fire forever without running out of ammunition. But after all, even a blaster contains an incredibly large amount of energy. At some point, it has to run out. Here's what to do. Under normal circumstances, don't worry about ammunition. A single blaster pack is good for hundreds of shots. The players can always recharge when they get back to their ship or back to base. Don't worry about ammunition when there's a good reason to adventure. Only worry about ammunition when there's a good reason in the adventure to believe the character's supplies are low. They've been separated from their ship for several days and have no access to ammunition. In that case, tell the character how many shots they have left. When a player shoots, have him make a tick mark on his sheet. When he's used up his ammunition, that's that. That way, scarcity of ammunition is an infrequently used way to heighten tension during a game, but most of the time you don't need to worry about the bookkeeping involved. Incidentally, replacing a blaster pack costs 1D from all die codes, but does not take an action segment, just like drawing a weapon. See page 48. There was drawing a weapon in here. Mythic D6 Weird Guy says, art seems to be a lot of spandex heroes on rooftops, so superheroes. But you're right, it could also be used to run any genre if you try. The main thing with Mythic is how dice work. Sable says, no wonder this has been cited so often as a great onboarding RPG for people new to the hobby. Lynn says, it does seem like a forgotten gem. I'm sorry, I've never had a chance to play it. Maybe we can put it in, maybe we can get it some way to play it in the coffee shop. Where is my long list of potential things to build out? Oh. Star Wars. Seems like a lot of us are interested in playing. I wonder if we can do a build out for it. Especially if it doesn't require a whole lot of miniatures. Barney says, combat is pretty brutal and works well for a sci-fi shooter. You need to keep a back-to-tank nearby. Or a Wookiee in Mandalorian armor, the infamous Wookiee tank. Oh, that would... Lynn says, now I want a t-shirt that says, my party's cleric is a back-to-tank. Let's see. So damage modifiers. A number of factors can increase or decrease the damage done by a grenade or detonator, as the optional grenade damage chart indicates. If an area is enclosed, if the walls are less than, see page 142. Healing table, force difficulty chart. Astrogation cost chart, difficulty number chart, falling and collision chart, optional grenade modifiers chart. Optional. They're big on grenades. This is they've got a lot of rules for grenades. They're like, okay, no, wait a minute. We got blasters, we got lightsabers, and we got grenades. We got a lot of grenades. We need to be sure that we get these grenades right. So we've got optional grenade modifiers chart and optional grenade damage modifiers, area in a vacuum, area enclosed, Character on the other side of door, window, or slit. Damage modifiers. So, okay, so what does it mean to be enclosed with a grenade? Grenades and detonators do not affect people on the other side of walls, even if a character is within grenade's blast radius. Makes sense. Grenades and detonators can affect characters through doors, walls, or slits, even less effectively. Although less effectively. A character is on the other side of a door or wall, decreased dice damage by 1d. If on the other side of a slit, decreased damage by 2d. Some of the damage done by grenade results from its concussion. The rest is from fragments. Vacuum does not transmit concussion, although fragments can still fly through it easily. When grenade or detonators explode in a vacuum, decrease dice by 1d. Yeah, it's funny what people get hung up on. So clearly the creators really like grenades. Oh, Sable says, turns out I can make it to the RavenCon Zero for a while. I would love to play Hero Quest. Well, I would love to have you. Weird Guy says, grenade scatter chart was one of the first combat quick find page. It was on the first combat quick find page. Right, yeah. The scatter chart. We saw that. Grenade scatter right there. Content analysis about how much of the combat is actually about throwing grenades. We've got weapon descriptions as well right here. So I knew Gaffy, Gaffi stick, yeah, for the Tusken Raiders, but that had a Gadurfi stick or Gaffy stick. I knew Gaffy stick. Okay, well, I do have to get out of here because I've got to take a drive because I got a lunch meeting. So I have got to do this. But I mean, I have really enjoyed this morning. Oh, hey, Killer Roo. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. All right. So I hope that you're very welcome, Mike. I've enjoyed this. So we'll continue this series tomorrow. We'll take a look at the wounds and healing and stuff like that. And I still want to get into the source book as well, because that seems to be such an important part of gaming history and Star Wars history. But I do want to point out before I go, if you want to play games tonight, RavenCon Zero, we're trying out, it's like session 0 with the online gaming coffee shop. So if you want to come by, we're going to be open from 5 o'clock p.m. Central to 10 o'clock p.m. Central tonight. We'll be playing games. Come by, hang out, learn how to use the coffee shop. If you want to get a ticket, let me put the ticket link right here. There are a few left right here. RavenCon. We'll play Hero Quest. I got Hero Quest. I got Wizard's Quest. We can play Dragon Strike. We can play, depending on how many people we've got here, we got Secret Hitler. So if you would like to, I will see you tonight. We'll hang out starting at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time in the online coffee shop. I would love to have you. We'll try it out. I think it's going to be a big thing. So tonight's the session 0 version. So, all right, I got to get out of here. And by the way, thank you again, Weird Guy, for the super chat. I really appreciate it, and I'm so glad that you're here. So I will see everybody tonight, if you can make it, but I'll see everybody tomorrow, and we'll talk more Star Wars. Later, everybody. Go forth, be creative, be constructive, and grind on.